90% of people in ICE custody are held in privately owned detention centers. Now, we know that we use private prison labor as slave labor in this economy, and that we rely on migrant labor for our food economy. So everybody's saying like, well, if all these people are detained, how are we going to get all our vegetables harvested? Prison labor. But how are we in prison labor? That's how. Now, a few years ago, we were also looking at how many people in the foster care system were going missing. That also went around social media. I don't see that being talked about anymore. But I guess what I'm saying is I'd rather see people detained, even if it's slave labor, than deported to showers that end. And I know that we're not there yet. But I've been talking about this movement, and y'all have either ignored me, called me crazy, said I'm just being pessimistic. I know that it's extreme to say that saluting at 45-degree angles, or apparently not even, it's mostly hand flat, that's coming back. I keep saying this. It's genetic engineering, it's pale superiority complexes that I can't say on here, it's colonizing Mars, it's hyper-technology, and who is a pro at all of those things? Well, he seems to be best buddies with the president and did a weird hand gesture. So I'm not blaming one single person, but I am saying that person is a mascot for this movement. I think he does know what he's doing, but that it's not just that person's fault. He's just bankrolling the people who are doing this movement. This also has to do with whether or not you own your genetic material, whether you have medical sovereignty over having babies or immunity, or any rights to your body, the data of your gene tests and how gene tests are going to take over our medical industry. This is a whole other topic. I can go into. But we're also going to see the rights to our bodies, the way that we talk about women, and our rights to our genes also change. And that's a whole other separate video, okay? But these are general symbolic trends that I'm aware of, both as a psychic and just as a person with a basic degree in anthropology and eyes and ears. I see this going on, and yeah, maybe I'm a little bit pessimistic, but you saw what I saw, right? I mean, we all saw it. It means different things to each of us, but we all saw that happen, right? And I'm gonna see if I can find the original and repost a video where that is shown split screen, because I was trying to find historical references of it, and a lot of them have already cut to the mustache leader with his hand already in that position, but I wanted to see if that chest thump was anything but Roman, because it goes Roman to Italy during that same phase, and that's where Germany got it. We probably all know that. And then there's also symbolically, and so this is going to be more on the esoterica end, there's also the Rome, Aries, Mars piece that has to do with this Mars colonization. Cryo is going to factor into the genetic issue. The genetic issue also has to do with Rh negative recessive traits. Rh negative is a recessive trait, but I'm mostly talking about, blonde hair, blue eyes. So that all has to do with this. And then as well, the Pleiadians and the Nordics in the space age myth about the mothership and the Galactic Federation and Ashtar Command, all of that is the same thing that they did. They both, Germany almost a century ago, and us, call them Nordics. They are the hybrids that are descended of the gods in this mythos. And then what the Germans did was try to find which people migrated around that area around that time. And yeah, Aries having to do with Mars, I suspect, although I have no etymological proof, it is purely a symbol, in my opinion, so far, that Mars, Aries, Rome, Ram connection has to do with the term Aryan. And I hope that I can say that on here without being banned. But that's what they were trying to find, was these Pleiadian hybrids. And a century later, we're like, oh, it's the new age. It's the age of Aquarius. We know about aliens. The alien disclosures are just a proof to validate the superiority complex that now has become engineering instead of breeding white people. So it's just shifted focus. It's just shifted a few of the vocabulary words, but the one that remained the same is Nordics. That is the code. It means Aryan. That's what that means. So all of y'all with the Galactic Federation, the aliens are going to save us, and the mothership just landed, where is the video? Where is the proof? There's none. There's some vague object in the ocean somewhere. That could be some sort of military carrier. That could be, think about it. The president of the US wants to call it the Gulf of America, and now there's something that looks like a military aircraft carrier, to me. Some big, giant, flat thing. is now over there. Tell me that that's not just one of our ships. What about that looks like a spaceship to you? It doesn't look like a spaceship to me. It looks like a ship. And I'm not denying the fact that we have vehicles and that we've probably collaborated on that. I'll agree. I think there are aliens. I think there have been high-tech ages. I think there are souls from other planets and that we as human beings incarnate all over the place. I do believe that. I agree. But the politics and the specificity about the genetics and who has power and incarnating as a slave race, all of that is what's the problem. Okay? It's taking our ability to incarnate into a universe we've dreamed into existence and subverted that for racial means. That is disgusting to me. So, I've now cited an actual fact from the, here, let me make sure, National Immigrant Justice Center. That's where that statistic was in the beginning. I've talked about esoterica, my own personal beliefs, projections of where I think this might go, some pieces of history, and then esoterica. So please be sure that you're aware of what category I'm speaking on, because I know sometimes it upsets people when I cite facts and then I talk about opinions and esoterica. I'm not trying to become a pseudoscience person that's professing nonsense, but let's be aware of history and then be aware of where these symbols lead, because most of this is with our will and our minds and our emotions. It takes place in the astral. Not everything is going to be spelled out materially. And so the idea that there's a mothership is just materially validating this idea. I want to see proof. And I want to see some metric that proves it's not AI. And unfortunately, we can't trust that. And we're right on the border of not even being able to trust what we see in the sky because of pollution, projections, whatever. More than ever, belief is the most important, and that is why I'm so worried about a belief in racial prejudice. So that's why. We can disagree. We can disagree. I'm not going to hate individuals for their political party, but we need to be aware of where these beliefs lead and be very, very, very careful about what we accept and don't accept. I saw a Roman salute, but I know where Germany got it from. I see a Roman salute and I think, King of Mars. He likes that title. I think that's what he wants to be. I don't think he gives a shit about being the president. I think he wants to be the King of Mars. Anyway, toodaloo.